create a function that takes in a string parameter for the user input and then creates a rock, paper, scissors, shoot game. Note, you may not use any AI libraries to do this. It's not impossible. Good luck. So it's a rock, paper, scissors, shoot game. You basically play against the computer. It's not impossible, so go ahead and try it yourself and come back. Here's our code. So here's our function. I called it RPS for rock, paper, scissors. It takes in a string, which is the user value, the user input. I went ahead and created and I made the string lowercase, so that way we can go ahead and any capitals, if the user does paper with a capital P or lowercase p, doesn't matter. So first if. So if the user says paper, you're going to create a compute string. This compute string contains rock and scissors. First, you're going to shuffle the array to ensure true random numbers, and then you're going to create a variable that gets a random element from the array. Keep in mind, every time you're shuffling the array and you're getting a random value, so it's actually more random than just having to do the random element, because random element tends to have a pattern. When you shuffle it, you get rid of that pattern. So first, if this random array returns rock, so you have rock and scissors because it's paper, rock, then you say you win. That, you know, the user wins. And if the computer decides to choose scissors, then you lose, essentially, because scissors cut paper. And then we have this comment here to make sure that to keep our code nice and clean for those who are reading it from GitHub. Okay, and here's our second if statement, which is scissors. Same goes here. We have our compute function that takes in rock and paper, and we shuffle the array, and then we create a value with the random element from the array, and then we start again. We say if the computer decides to do rock and scissors means that the user loses. And it's very important to indicate what the computer's response is right here. Otherwise, the game doesn't make sense for the user. The second if statement is paper. So paper and scissors, if the user chooses scissors and the computer says paper, well, guess what? The user wins. If rock, so if the user says rock and you get the array of scissors and paper, you shuffle the array, you create a variable with a random element from the array, you start with the if statements. If the computer decides to do scissors and rock means that, well, rock wins. If scissors and paper, then you draw, you got to do it again. And then we have this statement here, which there's a weird corner case right here. I had to do this because you cannot do a normal else. If you do a normal else, you get something that's a weird bug where the error will drop in with whatever the user answers if you do an else. So we have to do an else if so that we can define when to put the error. So essentially, if the user string is not equal to rock, paper, or scissors, then you're going to print out something went wrong. Please try again. So here, for example, I have scissors. What does scissors do? Well, when we hit run, rock. So we lose. Now, it should be truly random, but sometimes if you run it again, paper, we win. Now, what if we do scissors? And just to show you how lowercase this function is, this shouldn't really matter that it's all capital. Okay, so there's a corner case here. That's not working. Okay, fine. I wanted to show how that worked. Okay, fine. Okay, well, there we go. So, rock, we lose. Try it again. Rock, we lose. It's truly random, so sometimes get it a little bit so we can get the other answer. Paper, we win. Okay. And then rock. What did we start off with rock? I don't remember. So it's a paper, draw. And if we do paper, Now, see, paper, rock, oh, we win. Now, what if I say, I don't care for an answer? What if we do that? We get something went wrong. Please try again. So that's our function for this code. Honestly, I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you guys can get a whole glimpse of this. It's very complex, but it's also very interesting how it's done. I took time to actually go ahead and do this so that we can figure out all these computer sciencey questions. In this channel, I want to dedicate to pure anything iOS, Mac platforms, Apple platforms, and Swift. And this function here, it's kind of fun to make these games, and I want to make more of these. And this, I made this a coding challenge because you should automatically when you go through computer science courses. I actually had this same project in C++, which was a lot more ugly, because in C++ there's no random element. In C++, I had to use a library called random.org. And random.org, you have to pull in your API key, and you had to do all this stuff, and then you had to pull it in through a header file and then the CPP file, and it's just much more ugly. With Swift, you're making potential code that can actually be in a rock, paper, scissors shoot app in one function. You don't need any getters or setters. All you need is this. It's okay if your outcome was done using a switch statement. Somebody on my Twitter yesterday actually made a good point that if you do this with a switch statement, it can also be done. So yeah, if you did it with a switch statement, that's okay too. There's many ways of doing this, but I wanted to show you this. If you had trouble with this, I would recommend going ahead and trying my first one, which is easier, and then work your way up. These are going to get more difficult as time goes by. So thanks for watching. See you in the next video, and welcome to the channel.